What's up? It's me, Marty 1983, and you are in the Nerd Nest. Hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving, and now it's on to Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and the holiday everyone should celebrate in December, Festivus. I probably should work on my list of airing of grievances soon, because I got some certain people to air them out on. Anyway, enough babbling. It's time for another episode of 15-minute game show reviews. Well, I wanted to get this done on Cyber Monday, but time got away from me. Plus, I am lazy. You know me. Day late, dollar short, missing a few brain cells. Anyway, this time we're going back to my junior year in high school, 1999, and we were going to be talking about Fox's attempt to capitalize on the success of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which, despite a caveat here or there, was still a good show. It's time to feel the need for greed.
From Los Angeles, it's the biggest game show in television history, where one person, in one night, could walk away with over $2 million. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Greed. And now, Chuck Woolery.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, and welcome to Greed. It's the richest, most dangerous game in America.
Back in the summer of 1999, ABC acquired the rights to the hit British quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and the American version, hosted by Regis Philbin, went on to become the highest-rated show on television, overtaking NBC's hit medical drama ER. The other networks then played Follow the Leader and created their own big-money game shows. NBC, for example, revived its infamous 50s quiz show 21, CBS adapted the BBC series Winning Lines, and Fox, the youngest of the four major networks, launched this glitzy but fun imitator, which, coincidentally, was created by Winning Lines' host, Dick Clark, along with longtime game show producer Bob Bowden. Greed premiered on Fox on November 14th, 1999, and ran until July 14th, 2000. Reruns later aired on Game Show Network starting in 2002 and for a couple years afterward. The host was game show veteran Chuck Woolery, a man who needs no introduction. Chuck, a native of Kentucky, hosted many game shows over his long career. Originally a musician, Chuck was in a psychedelic pop duo called the Avant Garde, and he had a top 40 hit called Naturally Stoned in 1968, and he charted on Hot Country Songs in 1973 with Painted Lady and The Greatest Love Affair, and he co-wrote The Joys of Being a Woman for Tammy Wynette. His television career began in 1972 on the children's show The New Zoo Review as Mr. Dingle the Mailman. His first game show appearance was on Tattletales alongside his then-wife Joanne Flug, and his hosting career began in earnest in 1975 when he was chosen as the original host of Wheel of Fortune for NBC, a role which he would hold for nearly 7 years when he left after a salary dispute with creator Merv Griffin, and he was succeeded by Pat Sajak, who hosted Wheel for 42 years. His most successful game show was the dating series Love Connection, which he hosted from 1983 to 1994. He also hosted the game show version of Scrabble, my favorite show that he did, a revival of the dating game, and Lingo on the Game Show Network. In 2023, he appeared on The Game Show Show, a documentary series on ABC about the history of game shows, and the last show he hosted was the 80s quiz show, which streamed on Fox Nation. Chuck Woolery passed away in November 2024 at the age of 83. The announcer was Mark Thompson, a newscaster and two-time Emmy-winning host, writer, and producer for Fox. His career included reporting weather for local TV stations in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Denver, and also worked in radio in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Shows he hosted included Celebrity Daredevils, Guinness World Records Primetime, and Hole in the Wall. Mark Thompson was also a pioneer for voiceovers in reality television for shows such as American Idol, Paradise Hotel, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, The Simple Life, and Don't Forget the Lyrics. He was also the announcer on It's Your Chance of a Lifetime, and is the vocalist for all worldwide versions of So You Think You Can Dance, and is the announcer on the US version of the show. He also hosts his own daily show on YouTube. The game was played like this. There were 6 contestants to start each new game, but this would soon be whittled down to 5. Chuck asked a question with a numerical answer. After all 6 players submitted an answer, the answer is revealed, and the person who is closest to the actual number, high or low, becomes the team's captain. The remaining contestants are stationed at podiums based upon the proximity of their guess to the correct answer. If 2 or more contestants gave the same guess that are of equal distance from the correct answer, the one who locked in their answer first received the higher ranking. The contestant who was furthest away was eliminated, and they went back into the contestant pool. Presumably, they never showed up again. You never know. Anyway, the team then attempts to answer a series of 8 questions worth successively higher amounts in what Chuck called the Tower of Greed. The first question was worth $25,000, and it increased by that much until the 4th question, worth $100,000. The 5th question was worth $200,000, and $500,000 for the 6th, $1 million for the 7th, and $2 million for the 8th and final question. Each of the first 4 questions had 1 correct answer to be chosen from 4 choices for questions 1 and 2, and from 5 for questions 3 and 4. Chuck read the question and possible answers to one contestant who had as much time as they needed to select one of them. The captain could either accept that answer or replace it with a different one. If the final choice was correct, the team's winnings are increased to the value of that question. The captain can then choose to either stop the game or risk the money on the next question. If the captain chose to stop after any of the first 4 questions, the money was split evenly among all 5 team members. Giving or accepting a wrong answer at any point in the game ends it, and the team lost everything. The team member at the lowest position, that was the one that was farthest away from the correct answer for the qualifying question, gives the answer to the first question, and each question after that is answered by the team member in the next highest position. If the team made it to the 5th question, Chuck would then tell them that category for that question, and if the team played on, a Terminator challenge was played, signified by a musical crescendo. Chuck would then activate the Terminator, and one contestant is chosen at random and given the option to challenge a teammate, including the captain, to a 1-question showdown for their share of the team's collective winnings. If the selected contestant issues a challenge, they are given a guaranteed $10,000 in cash to keep regardless of the outcome of the Terminator or the overall game. If the selected contestant does not wish to issue a challenge, the team remains as it was and the game continued. If the challenge was given, however, the 2 contestants faced each other across podiums at center stage, and Chuck read a toss-up question with a single answer. The first contestant to buzz in and answer correctly eliminated the other player from the game and claimed their share of the collective winnings. However, if the contestant buzzed in and provides an incorrect response or didn't answer right away, their opponent won by default. If the team captain is eliminated, the contestant who won the challenge became the new captain. The Terminator would then be played before each question for the remainder of the game, possibly reducing the number of contestants from 5 to just 1 for the final question. Now, starting with the 5th question, contestants would now need to give 4 correct answers to be chosen from several options, starting with 6 for question 5 and increasing by 1 for each question after that, for a total of 9 choices for the final question, should the team get that far. The captain is given a single freebie card before question 5 and can use it to eliminate 1 wrong answer from a question, but they only had 1 for the whole game. For questions 5 through 7, answers are given one at a time by the remaining contestants, with the captain answering last. Then, if necessary, choosing to either give enough additional answers to make 4 or delegate the choices to other team members. Once enough answers are in, the contestant may either approve the choices as they stand or change one of them if desired. The answers are revealed individually as correct or incorrect. If 3 correct answers are found, Chuck would offer a buyout to quit the game. 10% of the question value is offered on questions 5 and 6, $20,000 and $50,000 respectively, to be split evenly among the remaining players, and the team's decision is entirely up to the captain. On question 7, each team member can choose to take an individual buyout consisting of a luxury car and $25,000 in cash, approximately $100,000 in total value, and they voted independently by pressing a button on their podium. If the captain, at questions 5 and 6, or at least one team member on question 7, chose to continue with the game, the fourth answer is revealed. If it was correct, the team split the cash award for the question at that level and the game continued. If an incorrect answer is revealed at any time, the game is over and the team goes home with absolutely nothing. However, any member of the team got to keep any money from the Terminator. Before the final $2 million question, each team member can decide to quit with their share of the team's collective winnings, or they can continue playing by voting by pressing a button on their podium. If any team members chose to continue, a question with 9 possible answers is presented, as before, of which 4 are correct. Contestants who reach this level are given 30 seconds to select 4 answers. If they failed to do so within the time limit, the game was over and they left with absolutely nothing, save any Terminator winnings, should they have any. Following the selection of answers, correct answers are revealed individually. None of the answers can be changed, and no buyout was offered after the reveal of the third correct answer. If all 4 chosen answers are correct, the remaining teammates or contestant, if there was only one left, won $2 million. Though for the first 6 weeks, it was played for a progressive jackpot that added $50,000 for each game it went unclaimed. The jackpot got to $2,550,000 in the first month before Fox picked it up as a regular series, upon which the top prize was made into a flat $2 million. Only one contestant played the final question throughout the show's run. On the episode that aired November 18th, 1999, Daniel Avila chose to risk his $200,000 in individual winnings to play for the top prize, which had been increased to $2,200,000, as this was during their progressive jackpot era. However, Avila missed the question based on a Yale University study about the 4 smells most recognizable to the human nose. The answers were peanut butter, coffee, Vicks VapoRub, and chocolate. Avila got the first 3 right, but unfortunately he guessed tuna instead of chocolate, and he was the only contestant on his team who didn't win anything. In February of 2000, 8 previous Greed contestants were brought back for a $1 million moment at the end of each of 4 episodes. The contestants were all players who had gotten close to the $2 million jackpot question. 2 contestants faced off with a Terminator-style sudden death question, though they risked no money here, and the winner was given a $1 million question with 8 possible choices. The contestant then had 30 seconds to study the question, and then 10 seconds to lock in the 4 correct answers to win the money. Correct answers were revealed one at a time, as on the $2 million question, no buyout was offered after the third correct answer. And if all 4 choices were correct, the contestant won an additional $1 million. Curtis Warren became Greed's only $1 million moment winner when he successfully answered a question about movies based on television shows on the episode that aired February 11th, 2000. Warren was Greed's biggest winner with $1,410,000, and he briefly held the title of biggest U.S. game show winner in history, combined with an earlier 6-figure winning streak on Sale of the Century in 1986 and an appearance on Win Ben Stein's Money in 1998. His total game show winnings stood at $1,546,988. Warren's record was broken shortly thereafter by David Legler, who won $1,765,000 on NBC's revival of 21. He has since been surpassed by several others, including Jeopardy champions Brad Rutter, James Holzhauer, and current host Ken Jennings. The current record holder is Australian-born David Gannat, who won $5,800,000 on NBC's Deal or No Deal Island in 2025. Finally, from April 28th to May 19th, 2000, the show was called Super Greed. The qualifying question was eliminated, and the values of the final 3 questions were doubled, making the top prize a possible $4 million. The cash buyout on the 6th question, which was worth $1 million, was increased to $100,000, and any team that got this question right and continued past it was guaranteed a $200,000 consolation prize, regardless of the outcome of the game, as opposed to being all or nothing. During this period, Phyllis Harris served as the captain of a team that answered 7 questions correctly and shared a $2 million prize, though she and her 2 remaining teammates elected to stop the game before attempting the final $4 million question. And that is how greed was played. Now, I'm not going to be greedy, and I'm going to generously share the grade with you. When Who Wants to Be a Millionaire premiered in the UK back in 1998, it became a massive success, and eventually, ABC acquired the rights to pick it up and bring it across the pond the following year, hosted by Regis Philbin, and it became a massive hit, overtaking NBC's medical drama ER for the #1 rated show on TV, and it renewed interest in game shows, which had almost disappeared from network TV. Naturally, the other networks decided they needed to cash in and launch their own big money primetime game shows. NBC revived their infamous 50s quiz show 21 with Maury Povich as host, and CBS would eventually acquire the rights to the BBC lottery game Winning Lines, which was hosted by Dick Clark. Coincidentally, as I mentioned earlier, Dick Clark created and produced Greed alongside longtime game show producer Bob Bowden. The show was sold to Fox without a pilot, and production was rushed in an effort to launch the show before Millionaire's new season began in November, and the show premiered less than 2 months after it was initially pitched on November 4th, 1999. Before settling on Chuck Woolery as host, other hosts considered included Wink Martindale, Bob Eubanks, Gordon Elliott, Phil Donahue, and Keith Olbermann. The show was billed as the richest, most dangerous game in America. Critical reception was mixed, with some calling it a ripoff of Millionaire, and others calling Greed the more intriguing and dramatic of the two. However, despite decent ratings, according to Fox's standards, Greed was still canceled following a change in management at the network, as Fox wanted to focus more on scripted programming. Its last episode aired on July 14th, 2000, getting a respectable 6 million viewers. Ironically, Fox would later score gold with a non-scripted series in American Idol, which was the #1 rated show throughout the 2000s. However, the Greed format was sold to several other countries, including the UK, where it was hosted by Jerry Springer of all people. Chuck kinda got the last laugh, though, as he ended up beating up Regis, albeit bloodily, in an episode of MTV's hit claymation show, Celebrity Deathmatch. Anyway, my opinion on Greed is that while it was somewhat of a ripoff on Millionaire, it was also a good show in its own right. In my view, I actually think Greed was actually more challenging than Millionaire, especially since each question was always all or nothing, and the only lifeline you had was the freebie, and you could only use it once throughout the whole game, so in a way it was kind of more unforgiving. The Terminator was also interesting as it allowed contestants to show just how greedy they could be by taking a player's share of the pot, and they would be guaranteed 10 grand regardless, and that person may have been the only one to win any money at all. Of course, it could backfire if they didn't win the challenge. Super Greed was actually a little more forgiving, as the team was guaranteed to leave with at least 200 grand if they at least got the $1 million question right. As for Chuck Woolery, well, he showed here why he was one of the best hosts of all time. He always had poise and wit and had that ability to lead. He also joked with the contestants now and then, such as in this moment here.
Give me Wheel of Fortune, Pat.
I felt a knife go right through my heart, ladies and gentlemen. You see, before you were, I used to host that show. That was the original.
That was a little before my time.
Yeah, that's right. Excuse me, I'd like to use my freebie now. It gets rid of one contestant.
Ironically, there was a moment where a contestant said he was a big fan of his and got a question about him wrong, and Chuck felt somewhat hurt by it. I hope he didn't take it too personally, but Chuck was indeed very professional, and any show he hosted was always guaranteed to be fun, and he is greatly missed among game show fans. That being said, Greed, while losing points for being a clone of Millionaire, was still a good show in its own right, and it was intriguing and challenging with the prize money to match, and it gets a solid B. And now the part where I talk about how I'd revive the show if I had the chance. I think I would retool the qualifying question, and I would simply have 5 contestants instead of 6, just to determine their ranking to see who got to be the captain. The Tower of Greed, of course, would be increased due to inflation. The first question would now be worth $50,000 and would increase by that much to $200,000 for the fourth question. The fifth question would be for $500,000, and the team would be guaranteed to split $25,000 if they got it right. The sixth question would be for $1 million, the seventh question for $2.5 million, and the final question for $5 million. The Terminator question would now be guaranteed for $20,000. The buyouts are always 1/10 of their value, save for the $2.5 million question, which offers $50,000 in cash and a new car, such as a Porsche, a Ferrari, a Bentley, or an Aston Martin. Also, I'd give each team a freebie for the 5th question and a second freebie for the 6th. But they can only use one per question and could not use any for the final $5 million question, even if they have any left. As for host, I'd go with Mario Lopez, Joe Buck, or Rob Gronkowski. The announcer would be Burton Richardson, as he proved he could be dramatic, as heard when he announced Russian Roulette, another show I need to review in the future. Anyway, that is my most recent episode of 15-Minute Game Show Reviews. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, smash the like button, follow me on Space Hey, you know the drill by now. I plan to keep making more videos of all kinds, especially as the new year comes along, although I'm going to try and get a couple more out before the year ends, including 1 or 2 for Christmas. And please keep watching. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Marty1983, and I'm logging out of the nerd nest.